This video is the first in a series that I'm doing on finances and money management. And I want to share with you the process that's helped me to create a sense of confidence and security in my own finances without micromanaging every single dollar that comes in or goes out. So, we're going to start in this video with a little bit of mindset and this basic foundation for my finances that I'm going to share with you and why I think it's important to do this and have this like bigger picture view of your finances. So I'm going to start with why making a decision about what you're going to do with your money matters. So when we talk about budgets, budgets are having a plan for where your money's going to be spent so that when it comes in, you have a plan for how much it's going to be coming in and you know how much is going to go out. And most people hate budgets because they don't want to micromanage every single dollar. And I completely agree with that. There's a lot of online tools and a lot of banking tools that will do some of that for you. But for me, I like to have things set up a little bit differently, and it helps me to create boundaries for myself. So when you're deciding in advance what you're going to do with your money, you're reducing some of the stress that comes with just not knowing if you're going to have enough for the basic things that you need to spend money on, or the emotional decision making that happens when you feel like you really want to buy something. There's, somebody talking about some great experience that they had with a new thing, and you're like not even interested in it at first. And then this person keeps talking about how great this thing is that they just bought. And all of a sudden you're like convinced that you need it. And you're not really sure if it's a good decision or not because you have no plan for your money, but maybe you just got paid. So you have all this money in your bank account and you're like, oh, I can totally buy that. And you don't really think about the bigger picture of what your financial plan is or what your financial goals are. So with this, decision of where's your money going to go before you ever receive it, you're starting to create some boundaries for yourself around where are you going to have money for spontaneous spending? Where are you going to have money for the living expenses that you need to survive? Where are you putting your money for things like saving for the future version of you or giving back to the community in a cause that you care about? And making sure that your spending actually aligns with what matters to you, not just what someone else is telling you you're supposed to do. And when you're creating a plan in advance for what you're going to do with your money, you're being intentional upfront. So instead of trying to fix a problem after you've already made the choices and decisions that didn't serve you, you're actually choosing what you're going to do in advance. And that bigger picture mentality will help continue to show you where there's opportunities that you can make small shifts in what your habits have been that you probably just don't even realize are the things that are just keeping you kind of where you are. So this high level foundation of my own process is based on this idea that everything is split, or all of the income that I receive is split with 80% going to living expenses, 10% for savings, and 10% for a cause that I care about or causes that I care about. And these are goals. So the goal is that I'm living off of 80% of my income and giving back 10% and saving 10%. Now, wherever you are, whether you're already in a position that you can claim those 80-10-10 numbers, or whether you're currently living on every single penny that comes in, I think that this is a good starting point and it's a good goal to have. But you get to decide what the details are within each of those percentages. And in subsequent videos, we'll talk a little bit more about the details on that. But in this video, I just want to talk high level around why this is important and the mindset that really matters. So when I talk about 80-10-10 and, 80% of your living expenses and then saving 10% and giving 10% away, a lot of people that I talk to have really good intentions of saving money every time they get paid or giving money back to a cause that they care about. And there just doesn't ever seem to be anything left at the end of the life stuff in order to save money or give money to the cause that they care about. So I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to share why I think the mindset is important to flip those numbers around. So instead of starting off with your living expenses, you're really thinking first about what are you going to save for the future version of you? What are you going to give back to? What percentage of your income are you going to give back to these causes that you care about? Whether it's a nonprofit or a church or a spiritual organization or just something in your community that you want to contribute to, when you can give money or put money aside for your future version of you, you're proving that you believe that you're worth investing in. When you are giving money to a cause that you care about, you're chipping away at that mindset that says people that earn a lot of money are bad or greedy. You're recognizing that the more money you earn, the more money that you have, the more good you can do, the more of a difference you can make in the things that matter to you. And by doing those things first and shrinking, even if it's slightly shrinking, the amount of money that you have left for your living expenses, you're going to become more creative around what you do with that money. Prime example, it's payday. Everybody's going out to eat. Everybody's going to, lunch on their lunch break or going out to eat after work. 3 days or 2 days before payday, most people are not going out to lunch. They're not going out to eat, celebrating the night before, right? They're waiting until payday before that happens. So when you have this bigger amount of money to spend, you're less likely to have the same restraint that you would have when you have a smaller pool to pull from. So by deciding in advance what those percentages are going to be, and you can do this based on what your living expenses are, and we won't get into that in this video, but I can talk about it in another one. But when you have those decisions initially about what you're going to give away and what you're going to save, you're starting to build those practices around, hey, this is important to me. This matters to me. This is what I'm going to do. And you'll start to be more creative with what you have left over. So it's that framework around budgeting without needing to micromanage every dollar. And then this creates structure without the need to be super restrictive because you get to choose what those percentages are. You get to choose how much wiggle room you give yourself. And you will still have lots of opportunities that show up. There's probably places where when you start to pay attention, you will immediately see that you didn't realize you were spending a lot of money on a particular thing that you don't really care about. And you can make an adjustment to that thing and shift it to something that is actually much more meaningful. I had someone share that their bank showed them a graph of where they were spending their money over the course of a month. And the surprise was that it was like $300 a month that they were spending at Starbucks. And they had no idea because they would go in just kind of, occasionally, didn't feel like it was very often, but they would go in and get, a drink and a pastry, and it was just like a treat, right? And this person had no idea until they saw the numbers on their bank account that said it was like $300 average a month. And suddenly they were like, oh my gosh, that's like practically a car payment. And they were able to take that information and immediately shift and say, okay, there's something else that I could do that I would actually care a lot more about or would be much more meaningful to me than just mindlessly going to Starbucks and spending this money without realizing the impact it's having on some of the other financial goals that I have. So make sure that the structure and the choices that you're making are really supporting your life. If you love your Starbucks and it's a treat that you are comfortable with the amount of money that you're spending on that treat, there's no judgment in you making the decision that says, I'm okay with that. This is my thing and I absolutely love it. And this is where I want my money to go. But the key is when you start to pay attention to these things, that you are able to make choices or make different choices when there's something that you don't care that much about. So you've set the framework in advance, and that helps you to recognize the decisions that have been on autopilot in the past. And you can make more mindful choices instead of just those default ones. This is the foundation that the rest of the series is going to be based on. And each video is going to talk a little bit more about a different part of the money management process that I follow with my own finances. And if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to put them in the comments below this video. But this is really about creating a money system that supports your life. So if you're ready to get organized and build better habits with your money, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you get updates when I post additional videos in this series. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.